monitoring, managing, and recovering Active Directory objects, Active Directory domain services objects, and domain services. First, we'll see the monitoring. Monitoring, that means uh, server, our Active Directory server must be available every time, and it should not be down. So that we have to make sure that it should not have a bottleneck or performance problem. Bottleneck, that means resources that is currently at peak utilization. So bottleneck, that means suppose we have lots of resources to work, but for the processing we have small amount of processing power. Now this is called bottleneck, where we have lots of resources or requests coming from multiple sources, and they are not able to process because the processing power is smaller than the request. So it becomes the bottleneck here. So it is not good for our server environment. It will make the server environment slow. So we should make sure to monitor the server resources so that we can make sure that server working properly if it is having a large amount of request or in the peak utilization time. Key system resources are like the CPUs, hard disk, memory, and network. They must be available properly for the resources, for the utilization. We have to make sure and we have to monitor all these things, that is it properly allocating these things, is it available for the resources or request, or is it enough for the request which is coming. So when we have lots of requests and not the resources is not able to process that, then it will become the bottleneck and the performance problem. So we should not make this happen. So for that we should use the monitoring tool to monitor this thing. Monitoring tools such as Task Manager we can use to monitor quick resources monitoring. Then we can go for the resources monitor, we can go for Event Viewer, Performance Monitor. We can use PowerShell also, Windows PowerShell, to monitor the different resources. Basically, we use the Performance Monitor. Performance Monitor is a monitoring tool which we can use to monitor different resources for the time period. And the time period we can monitor different resources, and then we can make sure we do it for the peak time, and every time we do it, like daily we'll do this, and then we gather all the information from the end of the month, and then we can see that what is working and what is not working, or what need to be upgraded, or what need to be not what resources we need to be upgraded, like CPU, memory, or hard disk. So this performance monitor, we can monitor all the resources we have and related to everything like CPU, memory, and also we can monitor the related to Active Directory resources also. So whatever the Active Directory related resources we have, we can also do the monitoring. So what is performance monitor? So this performance monitor important performance counter like CPU, memory, disk, network, and if we are having the Active Directory services installed on the server, so we can monitor these important resources of Active Directory like DRA, inbound byte, the directory services like outbound, inbound objects, outbound bytes in second, pending replication synchronization. Then we can use system security system wide statistic for the Kerberos authentication and TLM authentication. So these are the counters available when we have Active Directory services installed on the server. So we can use these performance monitor to monitor these counters. And monitoring means what? We should monitor for these things for the time. That we can do what? We can create the collector set. So we can create the data collector set, and you can use this data collector set to gather performance related information. And data collector sets can contain these following type of collectors like performance counters, event trace data, system configuration informations. All these things will be available. So in the server, this is our domain controller, and you can use we can go for the task manager. In the task manager we have multiple options available, like to monitor, like we have running process we can see here, we can see the performance here under the performance tab. Then also we can go for the user related process, running process, we can go for the detail about the process. We can also monitor the services directly from here. Then we can go for the performance monitor, which is available here under the tools, and this is what right now it is monitoring. This is right now it is only monitoring the processor's time, so we can add more informations here, like we can go for add, and we can add multiple counters here, like related to Active Directory, security and all. So these are the counters. So we can go on to select, like for example, authorization manager application. We can go on to monitor the database. Client side caching also is there. We can monitor the DFS settings if we have configured the DFS. Then we have the directory services. These are the counters for the directory, Active Directory services. So we can monitor the directory services also, like I can select this and add this directly, all the directory services related, directory service quality policies we can add. So these are all multiple directory services related counters. I have added all, but we can add whatever we want. We don't have to add everything. We can add whatever we add. So I have added all these things, and we can see here all these things. And here we can see the resources, what it is utilizing or not. So we can make this. Then what we can do, we can create the data collector set out of it. We can save this as a data collector set for ADDS, and next, and it is going to save it here. So I will say okay, finish. Now where it goes here under user defined, and this is the data collector set. Now if we want to monitor for this these all data for some time, then what we'll do, right click and start. And now it is start collecting the information, it is start collecting the information. And when it is done, now when we feel like it is done, so we will see it under the report tab. Under the report, under this ADDS, we can see the log here. Right now it is collecting the data. So after when it is done, or we stop this from here. Now when we go here again, report, we can see the whole report here. We can see it in different way. We can see it in reports. So daily we do this to monitor the resources, so that we can be ready if the resources are getting the bottleneck or resources are finishing. So we will be ready before it is going to be out of resource. For that, this is the monitoring is very important for us. Now the next thing is managing Active Directory database. Active Directory database, that means whatever we store into Active Directory. Active Directory is actually storing all the resources information available in the network. Now when it stores the resources information, it stores into the database, Active Directory database. So the Active Directory database stores the Active Directory informations. Then 4 Active Directory partitions are there. In Active Directory database, it is divided into 4 partitions. 4 partitions are domain partitions, configuration partition, schema partition, and application partition is also there, but it is optional. Optional, that means when we have an application for that, like a big application we have added into Active Directory, and that application need a special the specific partition, then it will create this application partition. Otherwise, by default, we have only 3 partitions available: domain, configuration, and schema partition. But when you go for the file level components, file level, that means actually where it is stored and what files it is having. So we can see under the Windows C, under the Windows directory, we have the NTDS directory, and under the NTDS directory we see all the file level database, all the files of database. and we'll see these files. So where you will see the Active Directory database, we will see here under the C drive, under the system drive, we'll go to Windows, and under Windows we have this NTDS. Remember, when we are installing and promoting this server to be a domain controller, at that time it was showing the path of the database and also the log files. Log files are also is a database. So when you go here in this directory, you can see the file here. These are the files like ntds.dit, ntds.jfm, adb.temp, adb.temp, adb.res, and these are the files we see here. So these are the database files we have, and among this is the main database file. This is the main database file, which is called ntds.dit. So these are the files we saw there. This is the first file. This is ntds.dit file. This is the main data adds data file, and this contains the Active Directory partitions and objects. Everything is under this file. Then we have some EDB files, EDB log files. These are log files. We will see some log files there. It is called transaction logs. These are called transaction logs. Transaction logs is also a database. Actually, when we add something into Active Directory database, so it directly does not write into the database file. First, it will write into this EDB log file. It is a temporary database, we can say. So this is our main database, and whenever we add something, so it is written into the log file first. It goes into the log file first and goes on to write it log file, and log file will write up to 10 MB. The default size for the log file is 10 MB. Now after the 10 MB, it is going to be purged, it is going to be updated into the main database, or before 10 MB if the time comes, then the certain time it will update it into the main database. Otherwise, if the 10 MB is full, then what, it will create one more EDB file. If it is still not written into the database, then after 10 Mbps is full, 10 MB is full, then it will create another log file for it, and it will keep writing into log files until the whole data is going to be written into the main database file, that is ntds.dit. So unless it is not written, it will create these EDB files, these log files of 10 MB. If we see in our database, we can see this EDB file here, and it is showing that it is 10 MB. So it is already reached to 10 MB, and it is going to be added into the NTDS file, the database main file. So if it is not able to write it, then it will create one more EDB file, and it will number it like this. Then other file is this EDB checkpoint file. This is a checkpoint file for the database. Now checkpoint file means what? When the data is written into the log file, so the checkpoint file contain the information that how much data is written, like how much data is written into database and how much data is still waiting in the log file. Like the log file is writing from here to here, and after that it is written into the database. So checkpoint file keep the information that the log file has write the data into database till here, and after that these informations are not written into database. Still it is not written into database. So it is a checkpoint that the log files are written into database. Then one more type of files we saw there. It is called this RES file, EDB RES file, and it has two files there. Now this file is actually reserved transaction log files that allow the Active Directory, to process the transaction if the server runs out of disk space. That means the whole information, this whole folder, the NTDS folder, is under C drive. Under this C drive, under the C partition. Now if any case, what happen if our C drive is out of disk space if it is full, but still we are writing informations in the Active Directory. The changes are going on, and it needs to be updated into the Active Directory database. But there is no space in a C drive to create a log file or add into the Active Directory database. Then what? These reserve files comes into play. That means these files will be always there, and they are reserving 10 MB. That means this one file is reserving 10 MB, this one file is also reserving 10 MB. That means they are not having any information, but they are having reserved space. That means we have total 20 MB reserved. So if any case the C drive is full, then what? One of this reserve file will be deleted, and it will make the space for the log file, so that we can create one 10 MB log file. And if we need more space, still there is no space in the C drive, then the second file will also be deleted, and then it will create the second log file for the database. So it is just keeping the space for the database. It is just reserving the database space. Now other files here, what we see is basically because of the application file. This is the API application files. Same as it is also, we can see the application temp file, the reserve files are there. These are the log files we have. The checkpoint file is also there. This is just for the application. Then we have the temporary ADB also there, which is the temporary database. Then we have the temporary log files are also there. This is for the temporary log files. So these are the database files we have. And all this database is divided into 4 partitions. One is for the application, but the other partitions are for the domain, configuration and schema partition. If you want to see those partitions, what is inside those partitions, then we can open this tool. It is called ADSI Edit. In ADSI Edit, we can connect to these naming context. It is actually the partitions. We have the configuration, we have the root DAC, the domain partition, and we have a schema partition. We can see what is inside these partitions here. This is for the domain partition, which is actually domain partition is the DNS partition is. This is the DNS naming partition. If you go to schema partition, you will see the schema objects here. All the schema objects we can see here. All the schema objects. Then it is still loading. There are lots of schema by default. So these are all schema objects we have. And even we can edit something, like this is the account expiration object. If suppose you want to edit something, so you can open and you can edit some attributes from here. But this is very much attribute level changing, and if you don't know what you are doing, then you should not edit these things. Then you can see the other, like we can see the configuration partition, where we can see all the configuration related things. These are all configuration partition, where we can see the services and sites information. When we install something here in the Active Directory, so we can see those services here. Like when we install the Exchange server, Microsoft SQL, then it can store the information here. And the service connection point, when we install the ADRMS or ADFS, those service connection points were registered here under this service connection point. So here it registers those service connection points, so that the Active Directory will get the information. All the users will get the information from here. So these are the partitions here. One more, the domain partition is also there, which is this root DAC, and under that you can see your root domain. If you have information. So Active Directory database is divided into partitions, but the database when you see the file, so the files are stored into this Windows NTDS folder, and these are the files. Now what is NTDS util? This anti-DS util is to manage and control the single master operation. It is actually to manage the database. It is to perform the Active Directory database maintenance. This is the tool, this is a command line tool which we can use to perform the Active Directory database maintenance. We can perform the offline defragmentation, we can create and mount the snapshots, we can move the database files, we can clean the domain controller metadata information like domain controller's removal or demotion while not connected to a domain, and also we can do this while the services are not working. Remember, when we want to do manage or we want to manage the database or we want to do some of these tasks, so it needs that the Active Directory services must not be running, and for that we have the reset, we have the DSRM mode. DSRM is directory restoration mode, directory service restoration mode. This mode, the Active Directory services are not working, it is stopped, and then what we can do these management tasks. And remember, when we are installing the Active Directory database, when we installing the Active Directory and we are configuring and promoting the domain controller, at that time it asks for the DSRM password. The password for the DSRM. That means if you want to do these management tasks, even you want to do the restoration of the database, then you have to go to this DSRM mode. You cannot do it in a normal. So for going into the DSRM mode, you have to have the password which you have configured when you are installing the Active Directory domain services. Now if you forgot the password, if you forgot the DSRM password, then you cannot go into this DSRM mode. So we can do what? We can reset the password by using this anti-DS util. So if we want to reset the DSRM password, if we have forgot the DSRM password, and remember it could be a different than the administrator password. So you know the administrator password, but you don't know the DSRM password, you forgot, then you can reset it from this anti-DS util. And we can do other things, like we can do these other things. We can do the defragmentation, we can do the cleanup of the database, we can do the movement, we can create the snapshot. Now cleaning domain controller metadata. Now why we do the cleaning and what the cleaning is? Cleaning means what? If suppose we have domain controllers installed or we have objects installed in Active Directory. Let's say for example we have this domain controller and we have some additional domain controllers. Now normally what we do for removing the additional domain controller, like for example this domain controller I want to remove. So what we will do, we will demote this domain controller and then we can remove it. Now when we demote this, then all the database, all the Active Directory domain controllers or everyone knows that these two domain controller will know that third domain controller is now removed, it is demoted. So they know that, and they know the information, they remove this from the Active Directory. But what happened if suppose without demoting this server, something happened to this server and the server is crashed and corrupted. Now the server is not available, it is crashed and corrupted. But in the Active Directory database, it will still remain there, it will still remain as a server there. It is still remain as a domain controller, that there is a domain controller and there is a server 3 which is a domain controller, it is still in the domain controller Active Directory. So it will still remain in the database. So how we can remove that? That is called the cleaning of domain controller metadata. Metadata that is not required, it is removed, it is corrupted, it is destroyed, but still the information is there. So if suppose we create the new server and we install the Active Directory, we try to promote this domain controller with the same name, then it will give error that say that it is already existing. It will not allow us to promote this, or we will face lots of different problems. So what we should do, we should clean the domain controller metadata. We should clean the domain controller metadata. That means we remove this domain controller's information from Active Directory. Not only the domain controller information, we can have a sites, we can have a domains, different domains also. All those could be considered as a metadata, we can remove them. And we can remove them by using this anti-DS util. Like for example, we have 3 domain controllers here. Like for example, this is our server 1, this is our domain controller, but we have also other domain controllers. When we go to Active Directory, in the domain controllers container, we have 3 domain controllers. domain controller server 1, server 2, server 3. Now for example, the server 3 is not available. Normally what we do, we demote the server normally. So this is our domain controller server 3. This is also a domain controller. Now how, if I want to remove this domain controller normally, so what we will do, we will demote this domain controller. We'll do what, we go to remove the Active Directory domain services. So when we try to remove this domain services, it will say that you have to demote first. It will give an option for demoting. It says it is a domain controller and you have to demote this domain controller first. So it gives you the link to demote this domain controller. So when you click on it, it will give you the process, the wizard where you can remove this domain controller. Now this is what this is normally removing. Normally removing, that means when we remove it like this, it will inform the other domain controllers, and in the Active Directory database it says that this domain controller is now removed. We can remove it by following this wizard. We can say okay, now we can remove this forcefully. We have to make sure the password after removing for the local administrator, and then what, we can demote this. Now this demoting is what, the normal demoting. I am not demoting it right now. So it is like a normal demoting, and it will demote and it will remove from Active Directory. It will remove from the database also. Now suppose what happened, the server is crashed. I will shut down this server. The server is crashed and now it is not running, it is not available. It is not available now, and now what, we can still see that the server is available here. If we can see here, all server 3, server 1, 2 and 3 is there. They are all domain controllers. So in Active Directory it will remain there. What we can do, we cannot recover it. So what I can do, I can right click here and I can delete it from here. But still some metadata information will remain in the database. So if we want to remove this from the database completely, then we can use this NTDS util tool. We'll go to right click and open the command prompt as an admin. Now under this command prompt we will give command ntds util, and it will go to ntds util tools. In this we have multiple options to do. We have all these options to do here, and among that we have option to clean the metadata. So we'll go to metadata cleanup. Now we are under the metadata cleanup, and if you want to see what commands we can do here, we can give question mark here, and it shows that these are the commands we can do. Now first we have to connect. We have to connect the domain controller. We are running it directly from command prompt. It does not know that which server you want to do. So first you have to connect the server or domain controller which is running and which is available. From there we can clean the database of Active Directory. It will clean from the domain controller and it will clean from all the other domain controllers also. It will be informed by the informed to all the other domain controllers in the domain. So first we have to connect one domain controller which is available. So we'll go to connections first. In the connections we will give command connect to server, and then we will mention the server name. So I'm going to connect server 1. So it is now binding with server 1 and using the credential for the currently logged down user, that is administrator. I've logged in as a domain administrator, so it is sufficient for it. The credential is sufficient for the removing of these objects. So after the connection is done, I will quit from here, from connection tab, back to cleanup, back to metadata cleanup. Now again here under the metadata cleanup, what we have here, so we have option to remove the selected domain. That means we can remove the whole domain. Metadata, we can remove the selected naming context. We can remove the selected servers. We can remove the selected server object. Then we can remove the selected server object from the selected from the selected object like sites and on. Then we can remove all these domain and servers from here. Now we can remove the selected domain, but first we have to select it. And for selecting, we have to go to select operation target, where we can select the sites, servers, domains, roles, and naming context. So I will give command select operation target. Now we are under the selection of operation target. Now here what we can do, we can select all these domains which we want to remove, name, context, or server or site we want to remove. So first, let's say I want to first list the sites. So it shows that there is a site and there is only one site default, and the site number is 0. Now I want to select the site. So I will say select site 0. Now it has selected the site 0. So it is saying that we have selected this site, but currently we have not selected any domain or server or naming context. So I want to list the domains we have. So right now we have only one domain. So I will select the domain also, domain 0. Now domain is also selected. Now I will select the server which I want to remove. Remember, the server 3 is not there. So I will first list the servers. It is list server in the site which we have selected. So the site which we have selected, so we list the servers in the site, and it says that there are 3 servers. Number 0 is server 1, number 1 is server 2, and then number 2 is server 3. Now I want to clean the metadata for server 3, which is on number 2. So I will select the server number 2. Number 2 means this server 3. So what we have selected here, we have selected the site, and the site we have a domain, and on the domain we have selected this server, the server 3, which we want to remove. Now after selecting the server, I will go quit from here, back to metadata cleanup, and now I can remove it. I can remove the selected domain. If we want to remove the whole domain, we want to remove the server, so we will select the server, and if we want to remove the server object, then we can select selected server and the object name. I want to just remove it, so I will say remove selected server. Now when I press enter, it says that are you sure you want to remove this server object, which is server 3? So I will say yes, and now it has been cleaned. So when you go to Active Directory also, and I will refresh here, we can see the server object is deleted. That means now there is no information about server 3 is there in our Active Directory database. It has been cleaned, and that is called this metadata cleanup for the Active Directory objects. So connector domain controllers removal or demotion while not connected to domain. And in some time what happen if it is not connected to the other domain and we demote this domain controller, so it will be demoted from here, but it will still remain in the database. So we have to remove or clean the metadata cleanup. Then we can do what? We can perform the defragmentation also. Now some of the tasks which we try to do, we cannot do unless we stop the domain services. This Active Directory domain controller, Active Directory domain services, we cannot do unless we stop these services. Now before Server 2012, we cannot stop the domain services. The services were not stoppable or restartable. It was actually fixed. We cannot do that. We cannot stop the Active Directory domain services. before server 2012. But now what we can do, we can actually stop the service, we can start the service. We can stop the service and we can start the service. If suppose we want to do some of the tasks, some of the management tasks, let's say for example we want to do the defragmentation. We want to do the defragmentation, we have to stop the service. Now previously there was no option to stop the service, then what option we remain? We only remain with the DSRM mode, directory restore mode, directory service restore mode. It is actually a safe mode. Like we go to a safe mode where all the services are not running, least amount of services are running. In that there is a mode which is called DSRM mode. In the safe mode there is one of the mode is DSRM mode. So we have to restart the system, we have to restart the whole system and make it to run it to DSRM mode. When our system runs into the DSRM mode, in that the directory services will not run, and then what we can do the maintenance job. But now we can do some of the tasks without going into DSRM mode. We can just stop the services and then we can do whatever we want to do. It is not possible to perform the system state restoration while ADDS is not stopped. So stop state. Now we cannot do the ADS Active Directory restoration, database restoration if we take the backup, but we can do the maintenance tasks when the services are stopped. But for doing the backup or other things, the services must be running. But for example, we want to do the defragmentation. We want to do the defragmentation. For the database defragmentation, first we have to stop the ADDS service, and it is possible now. So how we can do the database defragmentation and how we can stop the service. Let's see that. First, what is defragmentation? Database defragmentation. Defragmentation is actually a rare task which we do. Rare task because normally we don't do the defragmentation. It is actually recovering, it is actually arranging the database in order. Like suppose this is our database, we do it for the hard disk also. We do the hard disk defragmentation also. So what happens if suppose we store the data into database, like this database I store here, then I store this information, this data, then this data, then I store this data. Now what happened when we remove some data, like I remove this data from here. Now the space is empty here. This space is now empty in the database. Now it is not going to fill until we have the data exactly in this size. Like suppose we remove some of the data from here also. Now I want to store some data here. Then what happened? It is not going to fit into this size, this area, and not going to fit into this area. Then what happened? This data will be divided into parts, and it will kept into these different parts. Like some of the data will go to this part, then some of the data will go to this part, then some of the data go to other parts. So the single data will be divided into chunks of different parts, and it will store into different areas. Now this can be problem when we try to retrieve the data. So it will be very slow. Retrieval will be very slow because it is kept into a different physical location. Now we have to do what? We have to do the defragmentation to arrange the data again. Like when we do the defragmentation, so all these chunks will be arranged into the single location. So it will be easy for the system to collect the information, collect the data. That is what we do for the hard disk also, and the same thing we can do for the Active Directory database also. Now this is not the task which we do regularly, because regularly we don't add in the big data into the Active Directory, and we don't remove the data regularly. Like when we add Active Directory Exchange services, it is a big information, big data. So it will be added, but it is once in a lifetime job. We don't do it regularly, and we don't remove it regularly also. So sometime if suppose our database is running for the long period and we have added and removed lots of applications into it, so we need to defrag the database also. So for doing the defragmentation, we have to stop the services. Now it is possible to stop the services. Previously it was not possible to stop the services. For example, I will show you this. So for example, if you want to do the defragmentation, so we can do it using the NTDS util tools. So we go to NTDS util. Now under that we have an option to do the files for the management of NTDS database files. So for doing the defragmentation, we have to go for the files. Now, if I go to files first, so what it says here, it says first that activate the instance of Active Directory. So I will give the command activate the instance of NTDS. Now the Active Directory instance is set to NTDS. We want to manage the NTDS. Now when I go to files here again, now it gives me error that the service NTDS service is running. Stop the service before binding to this Active Directory database. So we cannot do this thing unless the service is running, and the service is now stoppable. Like for stopping the service, what we have to do? Previously, before Server 2012, what we have to do? We have to go to DSRM mode. But now we don't have to go to DSRM mode. We have the Active Directory domain services available. We can see that, like select the Active Directory domain services here, and then we can go on to, this is the events related to Active Directory, and these are the services related to Active Directory. And we go down here, so we can see this Active Directory domain services, and it is right now running, and this is running as a service. So we can do what? We can right click and stop it. Previously, in previous versions of servers, we are not able to do this, but now we can do this, and these services are depending on this, so it is also going to be down. That means our server is not working. Till then, what we are doing here, the defragmentation, the services will not run and the server will not be available to anyone. Now it is stopping the service. It will take a little time to stop. Now the services are stopped, so we can do this defragmentation task. Now when we go to files again, now it is not giving any error. It is saying file maintenance. Now we are under the file maintenance. Now we can do all these things here. We can do all these things, and we can do what? We can do the defragmentation also. For doing the defragmentation, this is the command compact. Now defragmentation will do what? It will defrag all the data, and it will also do what? It will purge the logs into database. It will write all the logs files which is there. It will write all the logs files into the database, and then we can remove the log files also. But what it will do? It will integrate. It will do what? It will is defrag the database, and it will create the database file into another location. So we have to create one location for it, and we have to create the directory where we want to do the defragment. Now here under the C drive, I will create one folder for it. So here it is going to store the defrag data. So I will say here defrag. So under this directory, we are going to defrag the data. Now what? We can go on to defrag the data. First, if you want to check the information for the database, so we can give command info, and it will show you the information about the database. We have these two partitions available, and the database file is this ntds-dit, which is 20 MB. Then we have the backup directory. This is the working directory, and the log file is 40 MB total. That means one temp file is there, and two reserve files are there, and one log file of 10 MB is there. So actually this is the only log file we have of 10 MB. So total database is 20 MB, and plus this 10 MB is actually 30 MB, we can say. Now we want to do the defrag, so we'll do what? We will give command compact 2, and we will mention the path of that directory which we created. The directory which we created here. Now we will press enter. Now it will take according to the database. Now if your database is big, then it will take a lot of time. If it is not that big, then it will not take that much time. Now it is not that big, it is only 20 MB plus 30, so it is not that big. So it has defragged, and what it is saying now here, it is recommended that you immediately perform the full backup of this database. If you restore the backup made before the defragmentation, the database will be rolled back to the state it was in the time of the backup. Then it says here the compactation is successful. You need to do what now? The new database file is created under this directory, so you need to copy this to your original database, and it is going to overwrite. We can now overwrite because we have now compact file available here. This is our compact file, and you can see the size is 32 MB. Previously the size of the DIT file was 20 MB. Now it has done what? It has added the log into it. The log file is also added. So if you see here, it was showing 20 MB and that log file was 10 MB. Now it is added into the database, and database file has become 30 MB. So now it says here that delete the log files also, because now the log files are not required. So how we can do that? So after this we will do what? We will quit from here. Then it says that copy, so I will use the same command here. It is giving me the command, so I will copy this, and then I will delete the log file also. Now I will go back to NTDS util, activate the instance, then I will go to files, and I can check the info, and now we can see it is showing 32 MB, and there is no log file as available. It is only reserve files are there, because the log files are already added into the database. Now before going to start the service, we should check the integrity of the database. Integrity, that means is it properly working, it is integrated or not, it is properly right or not. So we can do what? We can check integrity, and integrity checked is successful. That means everything is okay, and now we can start the services. So after doing the job, we can go on to start the services. Now for starting the services, it is not able to, sometime it will give you error here. It is not starting from here. So we will go to the services tab, services console, and from here, this is our Active Directory domain services. So we will stop it from here, start it from here. It will start from here. Because of the dependencies, it sometimes give you error here, but we can start it from there, from the services console. Now it is running, and our Active Directory is now running and okay, and it is now compact. Then also we can do what? We can manage the snapshot also. We can also create the snapshot by using this NTDS util tool. Now snapshot of Active Directory, that means what? It is just like a copy of your the Active Directory. It is just a snapshot, but remember, it is not a backup. It is not a backup, it is just a snapshot to give you the reference, like how the directory was looking at that time. Like suppose I take the snapshot today, so after 1 month or 1 year, I just want to see that how my directory was looking on that time, what users and what informations were there. So I can just see into this snapshot. But it is not like a backup, we cannot take it as a backup. But if you want, then we can do the recovery on this, the recovery of object from there. But it is not recommended, it is not like the recovery of the backup. It is not like a backup. We can do what? We can recover the user's information from there by using the LDIF file, LDIF command, and we can do it, but it is not like a full backup. For doing the backup, we have a different tools, or for recovering the users, we have different tools. It is just for the view. It is only read-only view, because you cannot do anything. When you see the snapshot, you cannot edit anything. You can only see the snapshot. Now, how we can take the snapshot and see the snapshot? By using this NTDS util tool. For example, this is our Active Directory right now, and in our Active Directory we have these users available. Now I will take the snapshot right now for this Active Directory, and for taking the snapshot, what we can do, we can use the NTDS util tools. So again I will go to NTDS util. Now remember, for taking the snapshot, we don't have to stop the services. The services must be running. So the services are running here. Now here NTDS util, we have a command here for doing the snapshot also. So we'll go to snapshot, and then under the snapshot, first we have to activate the instance of Active Directory. So we will give the command activate instance of NTDS util. NTDS. Now what we can do, we can create the snapshot. For creating the snapshot, we just have to give the command create. It will create the snapshot. To see the snapshot, we can see by using the list all command. Now I want to create, so I will give the command create first, and it is creating the snapshot, and the snapshot is now created successfully. Now we want to see the snapshot, so I will give list all, and it shows me that this is the snapshot we have. We have two snapshots here. Now I want to mount the snapshot. I want to see what is inside the snapshot. So what I can do, I can mount the snapshot. So for mounting, this is the snapshot which I have taken right now. So I want to see the snapshot. Now before seeing the snapshot, what I will do here, I will delete some user from here. I will delete this user 4 from here. Now in a real Active Directory, user 4 is not there. It is deleted. But in a snapshot, the user 4 is still there. So I will do what? I will mount the snapshot first. So I will give command mount and the number of that snapshot. So I will give this number 3, and now it is mounted. Now where it is mounted? It is mounted on under the C drive by this name. So when you go to C drive, you can see here this is the snapshot, and actually when you go into this, you can see the whole C drive. The whole C drive is there, but the whole C drive is not important for us. The important thing is under Windows, NTDS directory, and this is what the Active Directory database. This is important for us. So right now this is the snapshot database, but we cannot see into it, and we cannot see the user here. So if we want to see the user, then what? I will open one more command line here, and I want to see the user from this database. So what I will do here, I will run this database, and for that I will run the command DSA main, directory service access main, this command, and then I will say db path, and I will mention this path here. I am dragging the path, I am dragging the snapshot database path here, database file here. Then I will say LDAP port. Now I am going to run this database, and I am going to run it on a separate port so that I can access that with this port. Let's say 50,000. Now it is activated, it is actually running, it is running this instance on this port number. Now how we can access this? We will go to Active Directory users and computers, and right now if you see here, we are accessing from server 1, domain controller server 1. So I will do what? I will change this, and you can see here there is no user 4 here because it is normal Active Directory. Now what I will do, I will right click and change the domain controller. Now the domain controller is actually server 1. We are running this on server 1. We are running this on server 1, but on port number 50,000. So what I will do here, I will name here server1.site.com, but I will mention the port number 50,000 here and enter. And now I will open this. You can see it is saying online. Why it is online? It is saying online because we have executed that by using the DSA main command. Now I will connect this, and now what we are accessing here is the server 1 but on port number 50,000. Now when I go to see the users here, now you can see I can see the user 4 here. So this is because it is coming from snapshot. So snapshot has this user, but in real Active Directory the user is deleted. Now we cannot do anything here because it is read only. If I try to copy or move from here, like if I select to move from this move user from here, it says it is read only. If I try to reset the password, it says it is read only. So you cannot do anything with this object. It is actually read only access. So it is a read only access, we can't do anything, but we can use the ldif command to export the information of this user, export the information about this user, and then import it into our real Active Directory. But this is not a backup. This is not called a backup, or this is not like a recovering the user from the snapshot. Now I want to remove the snapshot. So what I will do, I will change back to my normal domain controller, and under the normal domain controller the user 4 is not there, you can see. Now I will stop this Active Directory instance, Control C. It is stopped now. Then I will do what? It is still mounted. The snapshot is still mounted. So I will do unmount the snapshot number 3, and now it is unmounted. When you go to see the C drive, it is not showing here. It is unmounted now, but it is still there. It is still available here. We can anytime see this, and you can see the date and time. So after 1 month or 1 year, you can still see the snapshot. And if you don't want, then you can just delete it. And it will be deleted. So now it is deleted. So we can do what? We can take snapshots, we can mount snapshots, we can access the snapshots, but these are all read only. We can't do it for the backup. It is not, we can say it is a backup. So we can't say it as a backup, but we can actually recover the information of the users. We can do export and import by using the ldif command. This command used to export the informations of users and import the informations of users. So what we can do for taking the backup or restoring the objects of Active Directory. So first, deleting and restoring the object from ADDS. Now deleting the objects are deleted objects are recovered through the tombstones reanimation. Now what is the tombstones? Tombstones actually what happens when we delete any user from the Active Directory. So when we delete any user from the Active Directory or any object from Active Directory, it actually not deleted. It will actually go to deleted objects container. There is a separate container for it. The user goes into that container and becomes the tombstone. It is called tombstone. It will remain there for the time period. Now why it do that? It will not completely remove the user or the object when we delete that. it becomes actually tombstone. Now why? Because suppose we have multiple domain controllers. Like suppose we have this domain controller, we have this domain controller. Both are domain controllers here, and both are having the same Active Directory database, and all the objects are the same. Now what happened if suppose we add some new user here in this domain controller? So this user must be updated here on these other domain controllers also. Whenever you add any object, add any user, now how they're going to update it? They exchange the unique identifier. There is a unique object identifier for every object, like for the domain, for the OU, for the users, for the group. So when you add any user, the container object will be updated. When you change the password, change the information about the user, so user's object ID will be increased, and that ID will be used to update the information to other DCs. Like when these two DCs connect to each other for their application, so this DC says I have a new object created, and this OU where we created this object is updated. The object ID is updated here. So it will say my ID. Let's say this ID, it says I am having ID 1001. 1000. Suppose previously when there was no user, both the DC has the ID 1000. Now when we add the user here, this ID becomes 1001 updated. Now when they talk to each other, this domain controller says I have 1000, this domain controller says I have 1001. So this domain controller says, okay, you have new information, send me the information. It will send the information that there is new user created. So it will also create the new user. Now when we delete the user, from one domain controller, then that information must be updated to other domain controllers also. So how they going to update? They are going to update by using this unique ID. So when you delete the user, it is actually not deleted, it becomes the tombstone. So tombstones means what? It will remove all the properties of this object, like whatever the information attributes are there, membership, or other information like address, phone number, everything will be removed from this object. Only the UID will remain, and then what? It will become the tombstone and goes into the deleted object. And the object ID for this object will be updated. Like it was 1001, now it will become 1020 or 1002 and marked is as a deleted. Now when these two domain controllers talk to each other, it says I have the ID 1001, it says I have the ID 1002, and 1002 says that this user is deleted. So it will update the information to this domain controller, and then it says what? It is also deleted. So from this domain controller, it will also update the ID and put the user into deleted object container, and it will become the tombstone, and it will remain there for the time period at least 90 days, so that it will update to all the domain controllers in the domain, because we may have multiple domain controllers, and it will take time to update to all the domain controllers that this user is deleted. If suppose there is no deleted object, and if there is no tombstone is there, then what happen? If suppose this user is completely removed with the UID, the object ID, then what? When these two domain controllers talk to each other, then this domain controller says I don't have 1001 or 1002, and this domain controller says I have 1001. So actually when you delete the user, this domain controller will send the user to this domain controller, and the user will come back. So whenever you delete the user comes back. Whenever you delete the user comes back from the other DC. Now because it is a tombstone, it is remain there, so it cannot update the information, it cannot send the user back because it is deleted. So it will be deleted on all the DCs because of this tombstone. So that is why the user becomes the tombstone. It removes all the information, ripped all the information from the user and make it tombstone. Now we can still recover the user from the tombstone. Remember, the information, the attributes, all the attributes will not be recovered, but the same UID of the user will be recovered. Now what is the importance of UID? Because the UID may have all the permissions on different resources. So the user can be recovered, and also it will get the access of the resources which it was having previously. So if accidentally we delete some user, we can still recover it from the tombstone. So how we can do that? There is a tool called LDP, and which with the help of that LDP tool we can still recover the user. We can still recover the user from the tombstone state. So if we want to recover it, let me show you that. Now we have two domain controllers here, and we have removed the user 4 from here, from this domain controller. And as we see, this is server 1, and we have removed this user 4 from here. We have already removed user 4 from here. Now if we go to the other domain controller, that means this is server 2, this is also the domain controller, and when we go there into Active Directory users and computers, the information will be updated also here that the user is not available. So user 4 is also not available here. So information is updated to all the domain controllers, and they are doing update because of this object, unique object ID. We can see that object ID if we go for advanced features. In the advanced features, when we go to any object, let's for example we go to this user properties, and here we can see the object tab, object tab, and in the object tab we can see this update sequence number. This is a number which updates every time when we change anything from this user. So right now currently it is this 16825, and originally is also 16825. So if you change anything with this user, let's say for example I will add the city here. Now I have updated some information into this user. Now when you see the object ID, now it is updated. You can see it is updated. Original was 16825, now it is updated. Now this information will be updated to all the domain controllers when they try to connect with this domain controller. So it says this is the other domain controllers will have this ID, and this domain controller has this ID. So when the domain controller talk to each other, it will send the new information to other domain controller. Now the user is also deleted. When the user deleted, so it goes into tombstone, it removes the information and make the user as a tombstone. Now user 4 actually does not have any information added. So I will do what? I will delete this user. I will add some information here, like its office is in Mumbai, and let's say address. Okay, city Mumbai we have added already. So I will add some more information. Let's say I will add some group membership here. So this user has some information added, attributes like this is having some membership, it is having the address information here, it is having general information, office information here. Let's say it is from the department, it is from the IT department. Now these are the information we have added into the user, but when we delete the user, it rips all the information, only the UID will remain, and it will goes on to deleted object. Now I will delete this user. Now the user is deleted and it goes into the deleted objects, it becomes the tombstone. So if we want to see and recover the tombstone, then what we'll do, we use the LDP tool. There is a tool here which is called LDP. First, this is for the LDAP. First we have to connect the domain controller from where we want to recover the user, and remember the LDAP protocol port number is 389. So we connected the domain controller. Now we have to authenticate ourselves. So we'll go to connect and bind, and we'll connect here. Now bind as currently logged on user. I can do this because I've logged in as a domain administrator. So I can select this option, or we can bind with the different credential also. So I will logged in with the current, and I have authenticated as a administrator here. Now what? I want to see the domain tree. So I will go on to view trees, and I want to see the domain tree here, site.com, and here we'll see this domain tree. Now when you open, you can see all the domain Active Directory objects here, and under the users, when you double click, you can see all the user objects where we don't have user 3 and 4. You can see user 1 and 2 is there, but 4 is not there. So where the user 4 goes, it goes into deleted object. Now you cannot see the deleted object container here. It is not showing here. Now for that, we have to go to options and controls, and from here load predefined, we select to return deleted object. This is return deleted objects, and we have to press OK. Now I will refresh this, and then we can see the deleted object container here also. Now when you double click on this, you will see all the deleted objects, and among these deleted objects we can see here server 3 is also deleted, that we removed. Now here we can see the user 3 and user 4. Now if I click on user 3, I want to recover user 3, I double click on it, so it shows the information about this user 3, a total information. But what is important here is that this value, it says is deleted true. That means this user is deleted, and now the distinguished name for the user, that means it is showing the user is under the container of deleted objects. You can see it is now deleted. Now if I want to recover this object, I can recover. The UID will be recovered, the GID will be recovered, and it can get the access of the resources which it was getting previously. So the UID is used to get the resources access. So if we have added this user into some group or some permissions or some folders access permission, then it will still get those, but the attributes of this user will not back, because it removes all the attributes. We have to make the attributes again, but we can still recover the user. So if we want to recover this user, then what I will do, I will right click on user 3, and then I will go to modify. Now what I have to modify, I have to modify these values, is deleted and distinguished name. So first attribute I will say is deleted. Now make sure you give the right, because it is a case sensitive. So whatever the spelling is, you have to make sure the spelling is right, and also spelling the capital and small. So this is deleted. Now I want to do what? I want to delete this. So this value I will delete, and then next I will replace the value of distinguished name. So I will say here distinguished name. Now this value is set to deleted container. It is set to deleted container. So I will remove, I will change it to the original location, which was first this is the username, then it was located under the containers of users, then DC is equal to psi, then DC is equal to com. So I will replace this, and I will select replace and enter. So first value I am deleting, and the second value I am replacing. I select the extended, and then I will run this. So when we run, you can see the message here, and it is now modified. And when it is modified, so you can close this, and you can go to Active Directory, and you can refresh here, and now you can see the user is back. Now user is back, but it is disabled, it is not enabled. Why? Because it has removed all the attributes, even the password also. So when you go to this user, you can see no attributes are there, everything is removed. The name of the office we have added, it is removed, the address is removed, the department is removed. Even when you go to member of, that member of backup operator is also removed. Everything is removed. We have to add everything from the new, like we have to add all these things here again, but The user is back and it is also having the same UID. So whatever the permission this user was getting on some resources, it will still get those permission because of the UID we get. Now for enabling this user, we have to add the password, and then we can enable this user. So user is now available and we recovered the user from the tombstone state. Now it was difficult to recover it from that tombstone state. Now what we have is the recycle bin. We have the Active Directory recycle bin feature available. This Active Directory recycle bin provide a way to restore the deleted object without Active Directory downtime. And for that we don't have to downtime, we don't have to restart or anything, we don't have to do recover from the backup. Remember, if you want to recover it from the backup, we have to restart the server into DSRM mode, then we have to recover the user from the backup. It will take a lot of time. Now we can recover the users without going into restoration mode, without going for the tombstone recovery. We can recover them from the recycle bin, directly from the recycle bin. So uses the Active Directory module or for the PowerShell, or we can use to recover it from the administrative center. So when we delete the live object here, so what happened? It will become deleted and it will go undeleted or unauthoritative restore. Now if we can do what? Authoritative restore to recover it. But when the deleted user, it goes into first now recycle bin. Remember, before going to be a tombstone, now the user goes into recycle bin, and it will be for the lifetime, for the recycle deleted object lifetime. And then after that it will do the garbage cleaning collection, and then it will go to become the tombstone for the lifetime. And after the tombstone, it will go on to be deleted. It will delete physically. So now we have to enable the recycle bin first. After that we can do what? We can recover the users from recycle bin. Now remember, the users which we have deleted before enabling the recycle bin, they will not be available in the recycle bin. They will still be in the tombstone state. So if you want to recover the users, first you have to enable the recycle bin. After enabling the recycle bin, the user will go to first recycle bin when you delete, and after that it will go to become the tombstone. Now the user which is already in the tombstone, we cannot recover it. They will not show into the recycle bin. So if we want to recover the users from the recycle bin, so first we have to enable it. Now for enabling the recycle bin, we have to have the forest functional level or domain functional level up to server 2008 R2. If our domain or forest functional level is not server 2008 R2, then it is not be able to, we cannot enable the recycle bin. We have to raise the functional level for this. We can check the functional level by using this command. So the users which we have deleted before enabling the recycle bin, we cannot recover them from recycle bin. They have already become the tombstone. But after that, enabling the recycle bin, we can recover the users. But when you want to enable the recycle bin, we can enable it from the administrative center. We can enable it from here, Active Directory Administrative Center. We select this domain name, and here we have the option to enable the recycle bin. But it is not available because of the forest functional level. So when you check the forest functional level, we will say get AD forest. So right now our forest functional level is Windows 2008. So in this we cannot enable the recycle bin. So for enabling the recycle bin, we have to raise the functional level, because this feature was not available in server 2008. It was available after server 2008 R2. So for raising the functional level, we will go to Active Directory Domains and Trust, and this is our domain. This is our forest. Right click on this and then select raise the functional level. Now we can see the functional levels which we can raise. We can go Right now it is server 2008. We can go to server 2008 R2. At least for enabling the recycle bin, we need to have server 2008. So if I select server 2008, I will say rise. Now it is saying that this is one time thing. You cannot recover, you cannot go back once you rise the functional level. So I say okay, okay. This is forest functional level. If you want to raise the domain functional level, you can raise it from Active Directory users and computers. Right click on the domain and there is an option to raise the domain functional level. Right now it is already on server 2016, so we don't have to raise this. So we have raised the forest functional level and now we can check it. Now it is 2008. It is still showing 2008. We have to refresh it. So I will go to this. Now it was not available, so I will refresh this. Okay. And then let's try Active Directory Administrative Center again. Let us check, is it raised or not? Okay, it has been raised. It has not raised. You can see it was not raised. So I will raise it now. Okay, it is talking about the role. That means I have to reboot the system because it is not being replicated within the other domain controllers. The domain function, the forest functional level, this schema master role or domain naming master role. It is rebooted. Now I will try again. Now it is rise to server 2008 R2. So I rebooted the system. Sometime it happens. So you just reboot the system here. When I will go to Active Directory Administrative Center now and select the domain here. Now we have option available to enable the recycle bin. And now we can enable the recycle bin. And this one is also a one-time job. So when you enable it, you cannot disable it again. So when you enable this, it says again this is the one-time job. So once you enable, you cannot disable it. Now it will be available here. Let us refresh the view. And now we can see the deleted object container here under the domain. So when you double click on this, you will not see any object. Remember, we have deleted user 4, but it is not showing that user 4 here. We recovered user 3, but we didn't recover user 4. User 4 is still deleted, but it was deleted before enabling the recycle bin. So now it is not available here. Now if I remove any user now let's say I will remove this user with all information. User 3, Mumbai organization, let's say IT. I will make some membership also. Now when I delete this user, so it will go to recycle bin and it will not go to become tombstone. So when it goes to recycle bin, it will remain with the all attributes. So I will delete this user now. Now it is deleted from here. Now we can have that user here under the deleted object recycle bin. We can see the user is here. It is not become the tombstone. It will remain here for the time period, and we can recover it from here, and we can recover it with all the attributes. The attributes are not removed, but when the user becomes the tombstone, it removes all the attributes. Now we can select the user, we can restore it to the original location, and also we can restore to another location. So I want to restore it from the same location, so I will select restore. Now it goes back to restore, and when you go to check the Active Directory again, and you can see the user is back. User is enabled because the password is there, and you can see the properties is also there. You can see the organization, IT is there, address is there, and the membership is also there. So everything is already there. So when we have this user, so when we enable the recycle bin, so we can recover the users from the recycle bin when you delete any user. Now additional backup and recovery tools, for example the user 4 which we deleted, it is in the tombstone, we cannot recover it from the recycle bin. We can recover it from the tombstone but without any attributes. So we can do what? We can recover the users from the backup. Backup options, we have the server backup, Windows server backup we can use. So if we have taken the backup before deleting the users, then we can restore it from that. We can also take the cloud backups, we can take Azure backup, we have to subscribe for it, and we can use the data protection manager, other tools. Now when we try to restore the data, then we have non-authoritative restores, normal restores, and also we have authoritative restores. We have full server restores, or we have alternate location restores also. Now when we restore the users, when we restore the Active Directory data, then there is an option called non-authoritative and authoritative restore. Non-authoritative restores, this restores the domain controller to the previously known good state, and domain controller updates by using the standard replication from partners. Now if we have multiple domain controllers, then we should not do this non-authoritative restore. Now authoritative restore will do what? Restore the domain controller to the previously known good state, make the objects that you want to be authoritative, and domain controllers updates from its up-to-date partners, and domain controller sends authority updates to its partners also. Now what that means, if suppose we have two domain controllers here, remember they do replicate the information to each other. Now for example we have one user here, so when we create the user, it will be replicated to other domain controller. That user is created, and object ID will also be updated. So suppose the object ID is suppose 1 here, so it will be updated also 1 here. Now we take the backup. We take the backup on this domain controller. So when we take the backup, so the object will be taken as a backup, and the object ID will be 1. Remember, it will be 1 because at the time of the backup the ID was 1. Now if I delete this user from here, from this domain controller, object ID will update to 2, and it will be updated on the other domain controller also, and it will become deleted, and object ID will be 2. But remember, in the backup it is still 1. Now when we recover the data, we recover the user from the backup, we restore the backup in this server, and we do restore the normal restoration like a non-authoritative restoration. So the user will come back, user will be back, but back with the old UID, old object ID, that is 1. And in the other domain controller the ID is 2. Now when these domain controller talk to each other, this domain controller say I have the ID 1, this domain controller says I have the ID 2. Now what this domain controller says, this is new UID, this is new object ID, and it says it is deleted. So this domain controller will do what? It will also delete the user again and update the ID to 2. So what happened? We restore the user, but the user again automatically delete. So if we do the non-authoritative restore when you have multiple domain controllers, so the users comes, the object comes for some time and then again delete it. Automatically it will delete it because of the replication. In that case, we do what? We do authoritative restore. So when you do the authoritative restore, it will update the information from the partners, but also it will send the authoritative update to the partners. Now what the authoritative update? When you update the authoritative, when you do the authoritative restore, so it do what? With this old object ID, when it restores, it add 100,000 into it. That means with this one, it add 100,000 into it. So it becomes 100,001. The UID becomes 100,001 for this user account. So when they talk to each other, it says I have 2 and this says I have 100,001. That means the new ID is this one, and it says the user is back. User is not deleted. So instead of this server says it is deleted, this server says that this user is now back, and now this server will also update the ID to 100,001, and the user will be back here on the other domain controller also. That is the only difference between this authoritative and non-authoritative restore. We can also do the full server restore. That means we can take the backup of the full server, whole server, metal store, bare metal store, backup and restore. And also we can use the alternate location to restore the object. Like we don't want to restore it on the current Active Directory, we can restore it somewhere else. So for restoring, we should have to take the backup first. And for taking the backup, we have to first install the backup role, backup feature into the server. It is not a role, it is a feature, Windows Server Backup. And after installing the feature, we can take the backup. This is Windows Server Backup. This is default. It is available in the server. Other options like Cloud Backup, Azure Backup, we have to take the subscription, and then we can take the backup on directly cloud. Then also we can use the other third-party tools also. But this is available under the server right now, so we can use this to take the backup also. So after installing the feature, we can go on to tools and start the tool server with this Windows Server Backup, and we can take the backup. Okay, after installing this, we'll go to tools and we have Windows Server Backup here. And here under this local backup, we have option to take the backup. We can schedule the backup. That backup will take every time when we have scheduled it. We can schedule, or we can take once. I want to take once, so I will go next. First we can take the whole backup of the server. This is like this full backup. Or if you want to take only the Active Directory backup, then go to custom, and here you will add the items. We can still select everything, but for Active Directory we can select system state. In system state, everything, the Active Directory backup will come, and if you want to take the whole backup, we can select bare metal. So I will go for system state, then next, then you can store it into local drive or you can store it on network. I'll go for local drive, E partition I have, and then this is what we have selected, and then we can go on to select the backup. It will take a time to take the backup. I have already taken the backup on other server. So on this server one, I have already taken the backup. So we'll go to Windows Server Backup. It takes time to take time to backup. So I have already taken the backup here before deleting those users. So this is what the system state backup I have taken. Now I want to restore this. So I can go to recover, and I want to restore it to this server. This was the time when I was taking the backup, and it is a system state backup. Next, so it also have files and folders from volume C, but I want to recover the system state backup. Now when you go next, it says you want to restore it on original location, or you can go and restore it on the other location also, alternate location. Now one more thing, the option is there like perform an unauthoritative restore. You want to do the authoritative restore, or you don't want to do the non-authoritative restore. So if you don't select this, then it will do the non-authoritative restore, normal restore, and it will be the problem when you have multiple domain controllers. And if you want to do the authoritative restore, then you can select this. Now because we have two domain controllers, we should do the authoritative restore. Now when you go on to press next, it says you can't do this because the directory services are running, and for restoring this Active Directory database we have to go to this restoration mode. So this is what the difference, we can't do this when the services are running, so we have to go to restoration mode. Now for going to restoration mode we have to go to safe mode, and for going into safe mode we will do under the run, we will give command ms config. It opens this ms system configuration window. Here we'll go to boot and we can select the safe mode. Now safe mode has the different options like minimum, where the no services are running, we have alternate shells mode, we have network mode, and we have directory repair mode. So we go to safe mode of directory repair mode, that is our directory restoration mode. Now when I select OK, it will say you want to restart now or you want to exit without restart, you will do the restart later. So I want to restart now, so I will go restart. Now it will restart and go into the directory service restore mode. Now when the directory services are not running, we can do the backup, we can do the restoration and other maintenance job. Then also it needs the password which we have configured at the time of promoting this domain controller. If you forgot the password, then you have to go to entds util to change the password. So normal password will not work here. We have to remember the password which we have configured at the time of promoting this domain controller. That is called DSRM password, DSRM mode password. It will take a little time to restart. Let's wait for this. Now it is started. Now see, this is the domain administrator, and if I try to log in with this, it says error. It says the current services are not running. Actually domain services are not running, so I cannot log in with this administrator account. So I will go to other and I will log in as a local administrator with the password of that DSRM. If you give the local administrator password, it will not work. You have to give the password of that DSRM mode password which you have configured when you are promoting this domain controller. And now you can see it is saying safe mode, safe mode. This is safe mode and it is starting in the safe mode. So under the safe mode, most of the things, the services are not running, directory services are also not running. So we can go on to select the backup and restore. So we will go to backup, we can go to restore it. And we have to do the authoritative restore. Otherwise what happen, you restore the users and then it will delete again, because we have two domain controllers. If we have only one domain controller, then you can do the normal restoration. Okay, so I will go to recover to this computer. For this recovery date, I want to do the system state recovery, and for Active Directory we have to install it on the original location, and also I want to do the authoritative restore. Now it says this recovery option will cause all replicated content on the local server to resynchronize after recovery, and it will take the latency. Now there is an option says automatically reboot the server to complete the recovery process. Now this is important. If we want to do the authoritative restore, even after selecting that tick, we don't have to, we should not reboot the server. If you reboot the server, it will do the normal recovery. We selected to do the authoritative restore, so we should not select automatic reboot. We don't have to, we should not do the automatic reboot. If we reboot directly after restoring, then what? It will become non-authoritative restore. So remember to not select this, and don't reboot after recovery. It will take a little time to recover, but we should not reboot the server after the recovery is completed, because we want to do the authoritative restore. So non-authoritative restore is very simple. You just reboot the server after the recovery complete. Whether you select the option or not, you just reboot the server. It will do the non-authoritative restore. But for authoritative restoration, we will not reboot the server. After recovery is complete, we will run some commands to recover the object. So first we have to wait for this to recover, and then after that we will not reboot the server. We will go to NTDS util and run some commands to recover the server, recover the object we want. Now as we see, the backup restoration is complete, and it is saying me that you should restart the system. Now if I restart, if I click on restart, then what it will do? It will do the non-authoritative restore. So I should not do the restart unless I will do what? I will run some commands. So now what I will do? I will run the command prompt first before restarting the system. I will increase the font to okay, it is not increasing also. Okay, so here what I will do, I will run NTDS util here, and under the NTDS util we have option to do the authoritative restore. So we will do what? We will do authoritative restore here. Now before that, it says first you have to select the Active Directory instance. So activate the instance of NTDS first, and then you go for authoritative restore. Now here under the authoritative restore, we have to select the object which we want to do the authoritative restore. Like we can select to restore the object, we can select the single object to be restored, or we can restore the whole subtree. Subtree, that means the OU container. So we can restore the whole subtree, the OU, or we can restore the single object. We have deleted user 4. I want to recover user 4. So I will do what? I will say restore object, and we will give the whole distinguished name for that user. The user 4, which is under the users container, then DC is equal to the domain name, and DC is equal to com. Now it says, do you want to restore, do you want to do the authoritative restore for this? I say yes. And now what it do here, you can see it added the record. If you see here, it says increasing the attribute version number by 100,000, so that this user will not be deleted after we reboot the system. If you want to do other restoration for the other objects, then this is only, we have updated only one record. We can do it for the other records also. I don't want, I have only one, so I will quit from here. Now one more thing we have to do, that before restarting, go to msconfig and change the boot option. Okay, how it is looking. Oh great, it is the graphic is also not loaded properly. But under the boot section, I have to remove the safe mode feature, because if it is selected, then when we reboot the system, again it will go to safe mode, and again it will go to directory restore mode. So I remove this and press OK. It says you want to reboot now, or you want to do the reboot now, or you want to do reboot later. So I will say I will not reboot from here, I will reboot from here. So I will select this now to restart, which was waiting for us. So I will select restart now. And this is how we have completed the authoritative restore. Even if you don't do the authoritative restore, then what? The user will not come, because we have the other domain controller which will update again that the user is deleted. And also we have changed the safe mode option, so it will now normally logged in, normally start, it will go to normal mode. our server is started, and it is started in the normal mode, so we can log in as a domain administrator. If we have not changed that msconfig safe mode option, then it was again logged in into the normal DSRM mode, and we are not able to log in as a domain administrator. So it is started now, and when it is started, it shows here that the system state recovery operation that you started on this has successfully completed. Press enter to continue. So you will press here, it just gives you the message. Now you can check the user that which we have recovered is back or not. So we'll go to Active Directory users and computers. And we can see the user 4 is now back. It is back and it is available now, and it is on this is on server 1. So when we see it on server 1, it is back. Actually it is showing from server 1. Let me change domain controller to server 1. So user is back, and we can see it is on server 1, and also it is replicated on other domain controllers also. So if we go to server 2 also, it will also show the user. So on server 2, when we go to Active Directory users and computers, we can see the user is also back here. Now remember, if you don't do the authoritative restore, then the user will not back. It will actually delete again because of this server 2. So this is system state backup. System state backup we take for Active Directory, and if suppose you're taking the backup of the domain controller, then you should take the full backup. Full backup is recommended because not only the Active Directory we may have some other applications also with the Active Directory we have installed. So it is a good idea, or it is a recommended way to take the backup, like full backup of the server. And for restoring, always we should do the authoritative restore when we have multiple domain controllers. And if we have single domain controller, then it's okay, we can do the non-authoritative restore also. So this is what the Active Directory backup and recovery. So we have seen what we saw, the monitoring things, we saw how we can recover the deleted object, how we can manage the Active Directory database, we can we can recover the users from the recycle bin, we can recover the users from the Active Directory recycle bin, from the tombstone states also, and also we can recover the user from the Active Directory recovery.